Okie dokie, having a great old time here on the Elias Macko Show. Thank you for listening. 2 more hours to go. We are with you here until noon. Now, hearings continued yesterday into the Quebec Constitution. Our next guest gave their take on the matter. Talking, advocating, living in Quebec, testifying in front of the Parliamentary Committee, looking at Bill 1, the Quebec Constitution. Let's find out what they had to say and how they interacted with Justice Minister Simon Jolin Barrette. Sylvia Martin-Laforge, Director of TALQ, is on the line. Sylvia, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
How was the experience yesterday?
Well, it was it was somewhat as expected. We got a good reception. I mean, we had the right questions. We certainly had the right answers, and there's even a question if this bill is going to get through. Mm-hmm. So, but I think our objections and our concerns would be understood by anybody who tries to make another constitution for Quebec.
Now, of course, you read news reports on testimony. You don't often just get how it really was to be in the room. I did see a story, Andy Riga in the Gazette writing, that you actually got the Anglophone community actually got praise from Simon Jolin Barrette. It seemed like the tone was like, hey, we recognize you. Is that fair to say? Were you surprised at all with that messaging from Simon Jolin Barrette on the Anglophone community?
I'm never surprised by ministers of the CAQ telling us that we are contributing and we are, important to the vitality of Quebec. But what I told Minister Jolin Barrette is that while they say it, we don't see it in any of the legislation that they have come forward with in the last 7 years. And he said he was sad about that. Well,
Was it, so do you think he really was sad?
I don't know. I mean, it's from a judgment kind of view, you got to wonder that the Constitution, the Bill 84 that they passed last spring, have us in the preamble not as English-speaking Quebecers individuals, but as English-speaking English language institutions. And we said last spring in Bill 84 that wasn't enough. We've said it again in this one, in Bill 1, but they don't get it. I mean, they just don't. They don't include it in their legislation.
So, I mean, I don't want to speak to you, so I'm going to ask you. Well, what is your take on Bill 1 on the Quebec Constitution? What is the position of TALQ?
Well, the position of TALQ is they should start over. The narrow process we've talked about on your show. I've talked about that before, and others have. No consultation. It lacks balance, essential to a just society. Certainly, the concentration of executive power and constraints to the judiciary are a problem, and a unilateral attempt to reset Quebec's relationship with the federal government. Mm-hmm. Now, that sounds lofty in a way, but it's important in terms of implications for the English-speaking community who rely on the federal government for the recognition that we are a legitimate minority and give us the funding for it. So, we don't. A constitution for Quebec, some people might agree, some people might not agree, but not this one. This is wrong. So they have to scrap it, whoever, and start over again.
Talking Bill 1, Quebec Constitution with Sylvia Martin-Laforge. So, Sylvia, it's an interesting time here in Quebec politics because the premier's leaving. The CAQ will get a new leader. We've already seen some instances, like I'm thinking about the PEC and the immigration program, where both of the people running for the leadership of the PQ have a difference of opinion with the minister who's responsible for the portfolio. I wonder if you get a sense that on this one, there's also a difference of opinion, and I wonder if you're sensing anything on that front, because Bernard Dreville or Christine Frechette will be the leader of this party sooner than later. Do you sense an opening there or anything changing because of it?
I haven't heard them speak much about the Constitution. Except for Minister Fréchette, who was concerned about the insertion around abortion, women's rights to abortions in the Constitution. I haven't heard anything else. Certainly, we know that Minister Jean Barrette has. We've heard him say that this is his file. He is actually sovereign in this file and wants it to go through. So, what will happen on April the 12th between Minister Dreville and Minister Fréchette as the candidates will really tell us what's next vis-a-vis this legislation.
Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating to see how that shakes out. Let me ask you for your take on this. There was an opinion piece in the Montreal Gazette. I'm sure you've seen it. The headline is "Time for an Anglo Summit on a Quebec Constitution." And the call is for your organization and others, the Task Force on Language Policy, other ethnocultural religious groups, to all come together and present a more unified voice on Bill 1 in Quebec Constitution. What do you say to that call?
You know, the idea has been floating around for a bit. On this Bill 1 Constitution, I think it's too late. We have many of our TALQ members who have gone and given their opinion. Other stakeholders have, other groups have. I think we have to wait this one out, but it's not a bad idea for the English-speaking community to discuss what, in the event, maybe for the elections in the fall, if other parties come out with the idea of a constitution, that in fact, English-speaking community should have some thoughts around the Constitution. If you read Andy Riga this morning, you'll see that in Daniel Turp, who has not been especially in for years a good friend of the English-speaking community, has suggested that we have a whole chapter. So it's not just about the English-speaking community that has to come together to suggest who we are and what we should be in a constitution. I think Quebecers in general, the majority, people should agree to what our community, almost 14% of us in Quebec should look like in a constitution.
God, it just seems like this is Simon Jolin Barrette's constitution. By him, for him. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like sometimes, the way he talks about it here, and of course the pushback he's getting on that front. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this, Sylvia, before I let you go. The natural roaming grounds of the Quebec Anglophone are the Quebec Liberal Party, and that party has a new leader, Charles Milliard. Can I ask you your thoughts on a new leader for the Liberals? And I don't know if your group has already had discussions with him. What do you want to hear from the new leader of the Quebec Liberal Party?
Well, certainly. So I know that individuals in our membership have had conversations with Mr. Milliard. Actually, I met him when we were there last night. They are, I'm sure, thinking about how they will negotiate their retail politics between appealing to the francophones in the regions. Although our community has a very important leadership in the English-speaking community in Gaspé and in Rimouski and all of those places. There has been no formal discussion with TALQ. As I say, individuals have spoken to him, but we're there. We're also there for Minister Dreville and Fréchette to talk to us as well. We're always there to talk to any party that wants to get a think on the English-speaking community. It's
almost like the name of your organization is very appropriate. Sylvia, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Sylvia Martin-Laforge, Director of TALQ, Talking, Advocating, Living in Quebec.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.